Welcome to Invercargill in New Zealand's deep south, home of cycling Southland and a region rich in scenery and character. For the past 59 years, Invercargill has opened its doors to a small army of elite cycling teams who descend on the region for one of the biggest and toughest races on the New Zealand cycling calendar. Across 7 stages and 900 kilometres, the cyclists will face everything the roads, terrain and weather of Southland can throw at them. At the end of the week, the best will take home the titles and the jerseys money can't buy. This is the 2015 SBS Bank Tour of Southland. Cool, damp conditions greeted the riders Tuesday for one of the Tour's iconic stages to the top of Bluff Hill. Again, it didn't take long for the moves to come, and an uncommonly large breakaway of 16 made an early break and quickly stretched out a big lead. Fraser Goff and American Travis McCabe led the field into Bluff, opening up a 30-second lead over the chase bunch. The US rider took to the early stages of the Bluff climb to take charge of the stage, but the chasers then started to find their legs. Southland triathlete Robert Huseman showed his local experience, but as is often the case, the 155-kilometre stage came down to the final 100 metres, and Otago's Brad Evans timed his move perfectly to charge around the final corner and explode past McCabe to claim his first Southland stage win and take the yellow jersey from his Powernet teammate Roman van Newton. Barry Stewart Builders Robert Hucker moved into second on general classification with a strong climb to trail Evans by just 19 seconds overall, with former champion Mike Northey a further 5 seconds back in third as the Tour sets its sights on Te Anau today.
Give me a T! Talbot! Give me a Forest! Give me a C! Cheese! Delicious!
Been pretty tough days, The first day was just chaos. Wasn't too good of a day for the team, but yesterday was awesome. 2 guys up in the break and a jersey at the end of it, so we're stoked.
Yeah, I think 23 is still achievable for us. I think we're 2.5 minutes down, something like that. Yeah, obviously a week-long tour, it takes it out of people, especially with the wind. It'll definitely make it hard defending that jersey. So yeah, hopefully we can get in the breaks, get amongst it and be a bit aggressive.
I'd say the under 23 jersey is definitely still in my mind, and I'm always going to look towards that. But I'm still looking for stage wins, and we've got green with Joe, and we'll keep an eye on that as well.
This stage is kind of one that's suited to me. Did win it 2 years ago, so I'd say there's be a few people watching me, but they're always watching me anyway. It's really good to put a team together. It's not just champion system, it's also my family. My cousin lost his child, so we're racing for that.
Stage 3, the Te Anau stage, is really a stage of 2 halves. The first half is really the arrival point to the Black Mount climb, and from there it really depends on how you get over that incredibly tough hill. From there it's a flat run into Te Anau, but once again weather conditions can play a huge part.
She's a long grind up to Te Anau with the Black Mount Hill stuck right in the middle, but before that the riders have to contend around Western Southland to the coastal roads, where we'll see a lot of splits happening throughout this particular stage. It's often been a defining moment throughout every tour, and this year could well be no different. But of course in the back of the mind for a lot of the riders is the Queen stage the next day, which could open up a different piece of history.
So the peloton are rolling out of the Riviera of the South, Riverton here, and here is the man in the yellow jersey, the young man from Otago, Brad Evans.
Brad Evans is in for a big day today. I wonder what's just going through his mind, just what he's contemplating he's going to have to do in terms of his role as the yellow jersey wearer in the Tour. There's a lot of heavy winter gear still being worn. A lot of this stuff comes off pretty easily too if it warms up further along. Conditions aren't too bad today. There's not a lot of wind, as you can see today, but Brad Evans, he's on a mission today. He'll want to defend that jersey at all costs, and he is going to have a big day ahead of him.
For a man so young in his career, he's got a lot of experience. As we've mentioned before, he is the current champion of the Tour of Tasmania. He's been to the Tour a number of times, but it certainly does bring with it a number of pieces of pressure onto the shoulders here for the team and the individual himself, as we see right from the start the aggression here as they make their way into the first of the hill climbs of the day.
Hill climbs and preems do provide the starts of these stages with a huge amount of aggression. You can see the riders get go. It's like a Belgian or a Dutch form of racing, very European, quick starts, huge selection process goes on at the start. You can see riders jockeying now, trying to get away. Often, Julian, there's 15 or 20 attacks go before one will stick. You can see the riders here having a look over their shoulder. This form of racing is just so hard. It's incredibly tough, even in the peloton, trying to keep up.
And let's not forget, we're halfway through the tour now, so the legs are getting fairly weary. Though for some, they'll build into it, they'll get stronger as the tour goes on, but there has certainly been some tired-looking bodies around this morning as they set sail out of Riverton here. Things settling down a little bit with the Barry Stewart builders, but as we say, here goes the American champion Marcotte now, who's decided he's going to have a bit of a nudge into this first of the hill climbs of the day for the Jesco hydraulic points.
The Kia Motors Ascot Park squad, and especially the Americans, Eric Marcotte and Travis McCabe, they've got to be happy with the way they're going. It is only day 3, I know, and these guys have come to race. This is foreign for them in terms of the conditions. They're used to hot, sunny deserts and so on, so we're fish out of water here. But I'm impressed with these guys, and the Kia Motors guys and the Ascot Park team, they will be super happy with their performance so far.
So he's settling into it here to try and stir things up a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see who will react. And it is your national champion, Joe Cooper, from the Avanti Racing team. He's decided to go off the front. So this will be an interesting reaction from the remainder of the field. They know the calibre of this sort of a guy here. He's got a few points already in the King of the Mountains. Is this going to be one of his key goals for the day?
Joe Cooper, and you can see here it's one of the Team Cromwell riders. We haven't seen a lot of them this year. They had a big year last year, and they've got a new and perhaps less experienced squad this year, but it's great to see them on the move as well. Joe Cooper, the Avanti Racing team, they're probably not overly happy with the way things have panned out so far. There's still a lot of racing yet, Julian, and it's not all over till it's over, that's for sure.
It looked like it was the man coming, I think, potentially from Team Cromwell that managed to get himself some points as well, as we start to see a group starting to form at the front of this race here. 4 riders with the local man Zenovic up the front, and of course Oliver's Real Food Racing have decided they're going to have a little bit of a nudge in here today as well, as we look to Logan Griffin, one of the under 23 riders, so that will be stirring things up further back with the pink jersey keeping a close eye on things.
These riders are on a mission here today, Julian, and you can see Matt Zenovic, the local lad from Champion System Team Dallas. An incredible story behind the Team Dallas team this year. A lot of thought going on into that, and the Carpenter family will be proud to see this boy up the front here. But once again, you can see there's riders emerging out of the peloton onto the back of this group, and we've got number 13 from the Kia Motors squad, that is Alex Frame. Now, Alex hasn't really featured in too many of the splits so far, but I've got to say, every day Kia Motors Ascot Park have had a guy in the move.
Well, he was certainly a man that had a circle around his name going into Lumsden, but the way things panned out in the end, he's had to relax back in the field, so he's been given the let loose today to see what he can do out in front. This is, of course, a member of the National Elite Men's Track Squad, a real champion in the team's pursuit, so a very handy man to have with you out in front as we see further riders now trying to make their way across as they head down towards Colac Bay.
The famous Colac Bay, Jeremy Winder's country. I'm sure Jeremy will be out here watching us, a former Southland stag, and these guys have set up a nice move here. There's a bit of toing and froing going on from the peloton. You can see there's the back of the peloton looking across towards Lake George, and the pace has certainly not diminished at all.
Yeah, Martin Ryder there of the Adair Craik accounting team sitting on the back, enjoying the scenery as much as you can at this sort of pace, because these guys still haven't established a decent sort of a gap. We're sitting at around about 20 to 25 seconds as the Barry Stewart builders, along with Marcotte here, are deciding to try and stir things up and get themselves across to that front group before they can crack this field.
This is really tough work. You can see here Brad Evans, the yellow jersey wearer from the Powernet team. He's just getting across now. There is some serious carnage going on behind these guys as Brad Evans is very, very wary of letting anyone getting away too far. I would think Brad Evans is riding very, very defensively at the moment, and he's just being really careful. He probably doesn't want to let anyone get too far away unless he's in the move.
It shows you the strength of the young man, though. He did it by himself. No teammates to be seen at the moment surrounding him there. We can see the pink sleeves of the Henderson Construction under 23 also keeping a close eye on things as Marcotte drifts on over. No one really too keen to actually take a hold of things and try and shut it down to the likes of Cooper and co, who are starting to extend things out by nearly 30 seconds.
Wonderful scenery around the southern coast. It's the southern scenic route. A lot of tourists come around here to look at this. This is one of the better days around here. If you get further around towards Oropuki, it's a lovely spot as well, but sometimes through here, Julian, it can seriously blow. And today, these guys have actually got some really favourable conditions.
Yeah, today is one out of the box. This is not the norm, as you said there, as we get some advice here for the national champion from his team director as they come up and just give him a few words of encouragement, let him know what's going on further back in that field as they try to extend this lead. Of course, they full well know that it's a lumpy course here today, and of course the Blackmount Hill to secure things later on will be about 3/4 of the way through the stage. They know they have to have a decent gap if they are to vie for victory here.
Interestingly enough, none of the riders have got radio link-ups now. You don't see any earpieces, and all of the communication comes directly from the team vans, as we just saw. This time gap now is at 3:16, so these guys have established themselves quite a nice lead. You can see the Kia Motors, Alex Frame, he's having a look at the back of the group to see what's happening, and this is one of the things that you have to do. There's no communication from the team at all.
No, they very much have to rely on that team support from further back to encourage things along. They'll keep an eye out also for the motorbikes with the motorcoms coming up. They'll give them some time checks as well to give them a bit of an idea of how things are starting to pan out here. They'll be very encouraged by the fact that the gap is opening up as they make their way very close to the base now of Blackmount Hill.
This is the single lane bridge. Before you climb up, there's a bit of a false flat now as you're climbing up to the base of the Black Mountain. It has been a tough journey all the way to the bottom. You can see here back in the peloton, Powernet, interestingly, are just controlling things, keeping things at a nice split, rolling through. You can see the Barry Stewart Builders team there as well. Brad Evans tucked in really nicely in about 7th or 8th wheel with the Kia Motors Ascot Park team behind him. So there's a lot going on here, Julian. There's a lot of racing left yet to go.
And of course, Barry Stewart Builders with the likes of Robbie Hucker, number 31, who's sitting second overall in the general classification, hence why they have one of their riders up towards the front assisting with the Tour Leaders team. As we now hit onto the hill here, these 5 riders settle into their paces. More points available for that Jesco Hydraulics King of the Mountains, and of course each of these hills throughout this year, depending on the length and the steepness, are classified and will give away a certain amount of points, and this will be one of the steepest ones of this year's tour for these riders.
The Blackmount climb, it's a tough climb, Julian. It steps and stairs, and as you can see, the riders are coming along and they're starting to breach the summit now. Joe Cooper from the Avanti racing team, he's the first over the top. Huge descent down off the other side, and you can get in excess of 85 to 90k an hour on the other side of this descent. So there'll be a bit of a freshen up period here from this breakaway group. Matt Zenovich is hitting the front. They'll streamline all the way down. Back in the main peloton, we're climbing up the front. That looks like one of the Mike Greer homes. Jeremy Ingalls perhaps at the front, looking very, very strong. And the peloton is still together. There's not a massive split yet, so things are pretty controlled. I think there's still some firepower left in terms of a chase here.
We start seeing now one of the riders from the Kia Motors Ascot Park team decides he's going to have a bit of a nudge here. I think it's one of the American riders that we saw in action yesterday, and here he goes. Michael Vink with the red helmet and the white stripe there from the Mike Greer Homes team decides to go onto the front, and they're starting to establish a little bit of a group here, putting the pressure on a number of riders back there. But who responds? It is the man in the yellow jersey. He's staying very calm about things. He's not letting this get to him as he makes his way up the hill. This guy is in some very good form.
Brad Evans is really on a mission here today. He's defending this jersey really, really well. He'll be a man on a mission through this stage because he knows he gets this stage out the way. It's another one to tick off in terms of the overall classification stages. We've got Coronet tomorrow, but Brad Evans coming over the summit of this Blackmount knows that he's a step further in getting his yellow jersey cemented in place.
Well, Doug, you can see further back there, these guys are starting to annihilate what's remaining in the back of the field here as these 4 settle into their paces. Michael Vink is absolutely pounding into it. Brad Evans tucked in behind him. Then we go to Hucker there in the orange colours of the Barry Stewart Builders, and just tucked in behind them, the former Commonwealth Games triathlon rider there is Davison from Avanti Racing Team. These are 4 very strong riders. These are 4 guys who are challenging when it comes to the general classification. So this is a serious move as they try and get away from the peloton, make their way down this descent, and now try and get across a gap of over 4 minutes to that lead group of 5 riders.
One of the critical points in this year's SBS Tour, Julian. These are the 4 big hitters, as you're saying. It's going to be really interesting to see whether these guys can get across to the front.
And back to our lead group here as they keep rolling on, united as a group, as young Matt Zenovich, the local man. He knows this road extremely well. He is a former stage winner in this particular stage. He took out the Harcourt Sprint Ace last year. There's our national champion there, as you can see, Cooper, trying to recoup something for the team here. He's taken out 2 of the hill climbs today, so he's on a mission for that polka dot jersey. But back further, the story is unfolding. Can these key men get themselves to the front and potentially open up an even more decisive gap on the remaining challenges here in this year's 2015 edition of the Tour?
Very, very fast roads along here from the base of this climb all the way down into Manapuri, and then from Manapuri you've got a bit of a false flat back to Te Anau. So these chaps are going to make the most of this bit of the road. You can see here Michael Vink, there's a bit of strain going on here. This boy is a seriously, very, very seriously good athlete, and he has had a bit of an up and down year this year, Michael. He'll be really pleased to have some form coming back into this race.
Here's our third group on the road, and another one of the Adair Craik accounting riders here. They're having a good day with it here, but they've let loose that key group of 4 riders. The pink jersey knows full well there are under 23 riders that could challenge from here. He has to keep very close to the nose of the race here, but there are some key riders back here, including, of course, the former winner from 2012 as well. These guys here are really serious at trying to get themselves up with Zenovich and co if they want to take out the stage victory.
Adam Bull, number 75 there from the Placemakers team, having a great ride. We're still a third group on the road here. You can see a few of these riders at the back now having a bit of a look around, but these guys have got some work to do.
And back to the front, and it's A-Frame that's on the front driving things, and he's being teamed up nicely with Zenovich, who's got the bit between the teeth. This guy is determined to try and challenge for that victory here once again in the Tour. But as we scan forward, it is the group with the yellow jersey who can see the Zenovich team. They are closing things down.
Everything's starting to merge here, but you can see Zenovich has had a good crack off the front. This group is going to emerge at the front, I would think, Julian, and Matt Zenovich, you can see he's not having a part of that at all. He's saying, nah, you can cat and mouse it all day. I'm off on my own. Gosh, he's such a strong rider, Matt. Had a huge year overseas in Belgium and Holland. He's learned a lot about himself and about bike racing, and this is one of the facets of his game that he's really, really getting quite good at.
And those that know Matt well knows this is the sort of thing that he was quite happy to do. He doesn't really care if there's somebody with him or not. If there's an opportunity to take the win, he will certainly roll the dice. As we see the merging of these groups here, as they make their way towards the front of the race, there's one man now left to chase as they make their way down towards Manapuri. This is still anyone in this group's ride.
Matt Zenovich from the Champion System Team Dallas team has really got his work cut out from now. This chasing group behind him has just doubled in size, but Zenovich is the kind of guy who's never going to give up. He's had a huge year away this year, and just coming into Manapuri now with about 20 k's to go, Matt Zenovich is just going to have to seriously haul it in order to stay away.
This is certainly a big challenge for the local man here to try and secure another stage victory into Te Anau. He did it a couple of years ago, and at that time he out-sprinted the man in the yellow jersey today, Brad Evans. So he knows this road well, he knows what he needs to do, but it is a serious group that's in behind as they start looking at each other, a bit of cat and mouse. Now this will work in the favour of Zenovich, but he may be making those decisions right now as he reaches to the bin for another drink and has decided he's going to come back to the fold.
Brad Evans is kind of exposed here at this point. He's the only member of his squad left from the PowerNet squad, and there's a bit of toing and froing, but he's having a very heady ride today. Brad Evans is really defending this yellow jersey well, and he's not getting involved in too much of this to and fro. In fact, he's taking it on himself really here. This is huge stuff from Brad Evans. The yellow jersey wearers doing this sort of thing isn't really that common. They usually try and sit in and cover up, but Brad Evans is taking this race to everybody. The main contenders, as we know, Julian, are in this move today. This is where the winner of this tour is potentially going to come from.
And it's interesting to note there's basically 2 races within this particular group. On the front are the general classification riders, the likes of Michael Vink, Brad Evans, Hucker in there, and then you see the boys here that have been away for the majority of the day. They want the stage victory. They're no threat. They're that well down overall in the general classification, so they now get the opportunity as the train on the front drags them through towards Te Anau.
The outskirts of Te Anau now with about 3 kilometres left to go in this stage, and it is still Michael Vink from the Mike Greer home squad and Brad Evans. They are seriously driving this all the way to the finish to maximise their gains on the GC sheet, Julian. This has been a storming ride from these two today.
It is a mathematical equation, and these guys are trying to ensure that they get as much time as possible to eliminate as many challenges as they can going into the big day tomorrow, the Queen stage. And it is Vink who has been put on the front as the motorbike here, dragging them through. As we look to the rear of the field, and here they go, it's Cooper. Cooper has decided to make a move, and he's taken with him his own teammate, of course, that is Tom Davison, the Commonwealth Games triathlete. And it's Logan Griffin, who I've been extremely impressed with today from Oliver's Real Food Racing, trying to get himself onto the wheel. But it is Cooper who's trying to get Davis off to the front here and give him a springboard into the sprint finish.
Perhaps a wee bit early prep for these two guys from the Avanti Racing Squad. This is a really tricky left-hander here before you head off into the finish, and the finish does have a bit of a judder bar as well for these riders to navigate. But this is game on here, and the rider down the road is still Davison. He's still off the front. He's made an advantage of that last corner, and he's got a 30 or 40 metre advantage at this stage. Brad Evans is doing everything he can to drill this to the finish line.
And Zenovic makes the move down the right-hand side, as does A-Frame. In the red colours there for the Kia Motors Ascot Park team. Davison has a sneaky look over his shoulder, and he can see the Real Team Pursuit member making his way towards him here. This is going to be tight. This is extremely tight indeed. Could we see a change of the guard at the front of this race here, as Davison has given it absolutely everything? Cooper just has to look on as his teammate sees himself rolled on the line by the man in the New Zealand Elite Men's Teams Pursuit, is going to take victory with time to give the crowd the wave of victory here. And it is Davison who's second, and Zenovic, the man from Invercargill, still holds on for third place as we come home now for the bunch kick some minute 10 later for these riders. And in the Stonewood home silver jersey, it is Brent Allnut that'll lead the group back in here into Te Anau.
Huge ride from Brent Allnut. He's really cementing his place in that over 40s jersey.
So the general classification sees Brad Evans continue in the yellow jersey, but further down we see the likes of Michael Vink and Alex Frame appear in the top 10 here on day 3. Continuing the Otago theme, Joe Chapman remains in the lead of the Harcourt Sprint Ace, while the Jesco Hydraulics King of the Mountains remains on the shoulders of Nick Miller with 23 points from Cooper's 19 closing in. The Henderson Constructions under 23 sees Nick Bain with a minute 18 over Liam Aitchison, while the Stonewood Home silver jersey firmly still on the shoulders of Brent Allnut of the Placemakers team from his fellow teammates. Rewarded for his efforts today, Matt Zenovic takes out the stuff.co.nz most combative of the day. While the Wednesday Cycles team classification is PowerNet still with a 2:38 advantage over Kia Motors Ascot Park team.
No, I was quite happy with a strong collaborator such as Michael. We worked well together. We didn't really talk too much about or anything. We just got it stuck in, along with Robbie Hucker. We worked well all the way to the finish. We're only halfway in the tour, so there's still a long way to go. But yeah, it's good to be in yellow. But tomorrow is going to be this decisive stage with the Coronet Peak coming.
Follow the 2015 SBS Bank Tour of Southland all week with full results, news updates, photo galleries and video coverage every day at tourofsouthland.com.